I'm Geens, head of the vaping business at JTI. Let me tell you briefly what happened since we saw you last at the Vape Summit in the summer. It's been a key year for us in the pod vaping segment, so you have noticed for sure that the pod vaping business has been continuously growing, and for us specifically in JTI, we had a very exciting development with the launch of our nicotine salt pods in JTI in Logic Compact Intense. So the advantage for consumers is that the vape products with nicotine salts, and we've specifically seen that in pods as a new trend that is coming to the market, it gives a more intense flavor delivery. So you get a richer vaping experience altogether that of course is a benefit for consumers compared to the standard range of simpler nicotine liquids. Looking out to the whole year and to the whole of 2020, I think probably that 2020 will be the year that we see the pod business in convenience overtaking the open tanks. So I think that trend has been emerging, has been growing steadily in 2018 and into 2019. And in 2020 I really expect actually that we will see for the first time that pod sales will overtake the open tank sales, which is an interesting development. I think it's good for consumers and it's even better for retailers. It is probably an easier product to sell rather than having a very wide range of open tank devices that are a little bit more complex for consumers but also complex for retailers to sell. It also requires usually a wide range of open tank or bottles to stock. A lot of brands, a lot of flavors, a lot of different variety, which is a good thing if you want to be successful in the open tank business. But pod sales make it just that easier for retailers because there's fewer brands, there's fewer products out there, so it basically consolidates the range and it makes it just more convenient to sell in a convenience environment. So Logic is distributed everywhere in wholesale. You'll find them throughout the country, well distributed in the wholesale depots. We have a fully national trade reps as well, so we have trade reps that you can talk to find out more about our products and get advice on how to retail them, how to merchandise them, how to sell them to consumers. And of course there's JTI Advance where you can find lots of information as well. So these are the traditional routes to market via our reps and via wholesale. In terms of margins, of course, it's different versus tobacco. There is a profit opportunity there for retailers that is significant. So I think they know the margins, they can see what is out there, they can compare between different product categories that they sell. And that's probably as much as I can say and advise about this topic. Our strategy is always based on following consumer demand or trying to forecast consumer demand and seeing where technology is going. So obviously we keep a close eye to the market, we see what is happening, we try to look what is out there, and we develop products that are at the highest performance and in the best interest of consumers. So obviously the trend of pod vapes is strong and significant. Nicotine salts is a strong trend as well, so we've developed Compact Intense. So we're always on the lookout what is the next big thing. We also have technology scouting in place. We work together with the Chinese manufacturers in the vaping world to make sure we can see what is happening on the research and development front as well. And then we'll bring these initiatives to market when the consumer demand is there. Now the UK is one of the most innovative and developed vaping markets in the world. So obviously from a global perspective, usually the UK is the first market that will see the new products for the world, for us basically. I cannot reveal what is the next big thing, of course. There's a lot in our pipeline and we'll always keep our eyes open, but we'll definitely make sure that UK consumers are the first to get our novel products. The intention indeed of Vape Gallery is to have an accurate reflection of what the vape category is. I think very often retailers were challenged with which products should I stock, how do I compete with the vape shop down the high street. They seem to have a very different range of products than what I can find in my local wholesale depot. So we try to have in that gantry, in that unit, have a bit of a mix between the big brands that you can find in the traditional retail environment, but also make some room for the more vape store brands. So the retailers that wish to, that have the knowledge and have the interest of becoming a real vape retailer, for these retailers I would recommend Vape Gallery because it has that offer of both the more big brand status products and the wide range of vape store brands. I think most retailers themselves have first-hand experience that sticking to one supplier for a whole category, there is a certain risk involved there. It makes you indeed fully dependent on what you can offer to your shoppers because you only get your products from one source. I think it's always good to look out there and see what are multiple brands in this category. It can still come from one supplier because Vape Gallery is managed by us but through a third party, and they will supply the products, but it is a range of brands, so a range of flavors, a range of product types, and it gives that offer and that variety to consumers. So the menthol ban is indeed a little bit wider. It's a flavor ban, so the products that will mainly be impacted are menthol cigarettes and capsule cigarettes, which has been a growing segment in the market recently. Thinking behind it is obviously it's on the scale of ever-increasing regulation from a European point of view. Opportunities for retailers and for companies are, of course, there are other segments out there now and newly developing categories. However, the thinking at JTI very much, and I think retailers could take that on board as well, is it is still 6 months away. So for now, I think it is definitely recommended to continue your best practices as usual. That means stock the full range, make sure your products are available, apply competitive pricing, because there will be a demand for menthol products for the next months for sure. And then when May comes around, we do think that most people will stay within RMC first of all, and even will stay loyal to their brand, so they might look for another variant within the brand family. And there will of course be some people also that start considering other formats, so they might go into vaping, they might go into nicotine pouches, they might go into roll your own. So that is to be seen, but we do expect the largest group or the largest percentage of the consumers to stay within RMC. We'll make sure that we communicate in all the usual channels to our retailers. As I mentioned before, we feel right now, I would say business as usual. Make sure you stock the correct cigarette products with the correct range, availability and pricing. Leading up to May 2020, we will use the usual channels, be it our reps, so they will have all the information for retailers on the menthol ban. We'll have JTI Advance, our online trade platform that we will use to communicate to retailers. There's newsletters that will be going out. So there's plenty of sources of information, and we would definitely recommend retailers to follow the developments closely and what is recommended by JTI to do at which point in time in order to be ready for menthol ban. I think vape products have an immense benefit for the global adult smoking population. Obviously, it has proven successful in countries such as the US and the UK and other European countries. I think over time, products will only get better. Consumers will embrace vaping products more and more, I think. So I think the future is very bright for vaping. And over the next couple of years, we'll see more technology, more relevant products for consumers. So I think it's only going to be, there's only one way, and that's going to be up. Nordic Spirit is going beyond anybody's expectations. I think it's an amazing product launch. We only launched it this year, quite recently in the convenience channel, and everything we hear and see is that it's selling through amazingly. So Nordic Spirit is our nicotine pouches, tobacco-free, that you place under your upper lip, and you can basically consume nicotine anytime, anywhere, whether it's in a train, when you're traveling, when you're in a meeting, indoors, outdoors. So it fills a lot of gaps for consumers, and consumers have embraced it wonderfully. It is very amazing to see how this product is growing, how it's developing. So we are actually expanding our launch plan within traditional retail. So it is you'll see it in more and more stores. You'll see the advertising in London. So we're putting a lot of emphasis behind Nordic Spirit, and I think we have very big hopes in JTI for Nordic Spirit. Indeed, it looks more likely now that Brexit will take place with the recent election results. I'm sure it's not going to be the very first priority for the new government, but they have given signs that once the Brexit would be in place, that the UK government would be looking into, or would be willing to look into softening regulations on vaping. So we expect mostly in terms of communication and advertising. We expect them to loosen up some of the regulation, because UK authorities clearly believe in the potential of vaping products and the reduced risk potential of vaping products. So we do expect them to take some steps there.